advancing mutually beneficial U.S.-Israel alliance, combating anti-Semitism, ensuring the safety of both America and Israel. Before that, I was in medical research, working for many years with the two-time Nobel Prize winner Linus Pauling at Stanford University. The Jewish people are called Jews because we are from Judea. We are Judeans. Jew is a contraction of the word Judean. We are Judea and Samaria's indigenous people. American leaders have long recognized this. President John Adams wrote, "I really wish the Jews would reestablish Judea as an independent Jewish nation." Other presidents, from Lincoln to Truman, has urged Judea and Samaria, then the region of Palestine, to become a Jewish state. Judea and Samaria is the historic Jewish homeland where Jews lived for thousands of years. This is where the first Jew, Abraham, purchased his and Sarah's burial place, where God first speaks to Abraham, promising Judea and Samaria to him, which was the beginning of the Jewish connection to Judea and Samaria, where the Jews, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Sarah, Ruth, Leah, are buried in the cave of Machpelah, one of the holiest Jewish places in Judaism. Here was the first capital under King David. The Jew Jacob slept and dreamt here. The Jew Joseph is buried there. The Jewish tabernacle, the Ark of the Covenant, stood there for 369 years. And the Maccabees, the heroes of the Hanukkah story, lived and established their base to reclaim Israel and the Jewish temple and built fortresses there to protect the Jewish people. Exodus in the Bible relates that Moses and Joshua led the Jewish people to their homeland in Judea and Samaria. Jews have had a continuous presence there for over 3,000 years. The Jewish spiritual and historical connection has never severed or lapsed for Jews. Judea and Samaria was in the heart of the Jewish kingdoms that existed for hundreds of years. King David and Solomon unified Jewish kingdoms. Jews lived in Hebron, the oldest Jewish community in the world, until the infamous massacre of Hebron's innocent Jews in 1929, but came back in 1935. By contrast, Arabs hail from Arabia and North Africa. They are not indigenous to Judea and Samaria. There was never a Palestinian Arab state in Judea and Samaria, even when they controlled it from 48 to 67. Palestine is a Roman name, not an Arab name. The Romans renamed Judea and Samaria and surrounding areas Palestine after the Jewish enemy, the Philistines, to cause pain to the Jews and to try to de-Judaize the area. Arabs can't even pronounce the letter P. They can't say Palestine, they say Philistine. Judea and Samaria, moreover, is legally Jewish land. A series of binding international agreements, the San Remo Resolution, League of Nations Covenant, British Mandate, Lodge Fish, UN Charter Article 80, recognize the Jewish people's connection to the land and guarantee the land of Israel under international law, including Judea and Samaria, to the Jewish people. UN resolutions that contradict the UN Charter are absolutely legally void. In 48 and 49, Jordan attacked the illegally seized Judea and Samaria. Jordan killed or expelled the Jews, illegally occupied the area for 19 years, only recognized by 2 countries, and renamed Judea and Samaria the West Bank in order to de-Judaize it. In fact, the initial PLO charter, Article 24, explicitly states that the PLO has no territorial claims over Judea and Samaria and Gaza. And Jordan relinquished their claims in 1988. The PLO sought Israel's destruction then as now, as the Palestinian demand is likewise not about a state. It's about destroying Israel and murdering Jews and Christians. This is the emblem of the Palestinian Authority, showing all of Israel with a keffiyeh over all of it, a picture of Arafat and a rifle, a Kalashnikov rifle. This is not the emblem you use if you want peace with the Jewish state of Israel. This is a picture of one of the suicide bombers. They do pictures and posters of every suicide bomber and honoring him as a hero and a martyr, and put this up in universities and high schools throughout Judea and Samaria. This is not what you do if you want peace with the Jewish state. The Arabs were offered a state, rejected it 8 times since the Appeal Commission in 37, 3 times in the last 20 years. In 67, Jordan attacked Israel again. In that war, Israel regained the lawful lands of Judea and Samaria. Today, there are 500,000 Jews living in Judea and Samaria. This is Jewish land, legally, religiously, biblically, politically, and morally. Judea and Samaria are strategically located for Israel's security. If they give it up, Judea and Samaria will only be 8 miles wide. The Oslo Accords have made clear that a Palestinian state would result in disaster. When Israel withdrew from Gaza in 2005, 9,000 Jews left, 30,000 rockets on October 7th happened. Under the Oslo Accords, when Jews gave up land, terrorism reigned supreme, with 10,000 innocent Jews being killed. The Palestinian Authority pays $400 million a year for lifetime pensions to Arabs to murder Jews. Arab terrorists in Jenin and Samaria are launching rockets at Israel right now. Only this week they found manufacturing rockets that are going on there. Establishing a Palestinian state would send a terrible message that terrorism pays. There are 21 Arab states and one little Jewish state. That's the yellow. It's 600 times the size of the Arab world. We need peace. If Israel doesn't have control of the Jewish heartland in Judea and Samaria, peace will be impossible. Again, Judea and Samaria, Jewish Israeli land, is Jewish land legally, religiously, biblically, politically, and morally. This is what's best for America. This is what's best for Israel. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Mr. Klein.